chaotic here. So is that why you came here early, or?
Yeah, we were trying to avoid
born in 1972. My mom was a senior in high school. You know, a very challenging childhood. My brother and I experienced addiction, abuse, domestic violence, poverty. And also I realized at a young age that, you know, God had blessed me with some academic ability. And so I was able to go to college. I was the first person in my family to go and graduate from college. And then was fortunate enough to get hired by IBM pretty much right after I got my MBA at Clarkson. And, you know, I went on a 20-year journey with IBM that, I mean, took me all over the world, literally. I started in New York, I lived in China, and then the last 9 years I lived in Raleigh, North Carolina. But probably for the last 5 or 6 years of that journey, I just had this deep sense that God had not helped me get through some of the challenges I had faced for my legacy to be Jimmer, a successful executive at IBM. And I wasn't feeling like deeply gratified going to work every day. And I felt like there was something out there that would allow me to have a greater impact on the lives of other people. You know, God doesn't send you a text message or a letter or, you know, with a set of instructions, right? But God kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life. We fell in love first as guests. And so 3 years ago, I traveled to Atlanta, to the corporate headquarters, for what they call a meet and greet, where you get to know them before you even get an interview.
All I know is Chick-fil-A is insanely popular. Everyone loves it. This is the first one in Central New York, so people can come from all over.
But they didn't offer me a job. It was a meet and greet, so I kept doing my thing at IBM. And about 16 months ago, I had just reached this like emotional and spiritual bottom. I just felt like everything was like a grind. And I turned to my wife in the kitchen and I said, "Betty, I think I know what's wrong." And she said, "What?" And I said, "I don't want to work here anymore." Literally, after I had that conversation with my wife, I called my friend Craig at Chick-fil-A and I said, "Craig, I'm done at IBM. Have you ever thought about owning a Chick-fil-A restaurant?" Question that has changed my life. And my first answer was no. And he said, "The more I meet our owners, the more I see you in them and them in you." There are 40,000 people a year expressing interest in owning a Chick-fil-A restaurant. We open about 100 a year, and about half of those go to people like me who come from outside of Chick-fil-A. So my odds weren't good. I started to have this feeling like, I think this might be what God wants me to do with the rest of my life, my career, is use a Chick-fil-A restaurant as a platform for positively impacting the lives of other people. And then in May of last year, I got a phone call from Chick-fil-A and they asked me, "Have you ever heard of Cicero, New York?" And they could probably have asked 998 out of 1,000 people in the franchise selection process that question, and they would have said no. And I said, "I most certainly have. I grew up in upstate New York. I lived in Syracuse for a brief period of time. I went to school not that far away. I've got friends and family in the area." And they said, "Well, we think you might be a competitive candidate to open the first Chick-fil-A in upstate New York." I thought that would be pretty amazing.
Anything else you'd like to add about Chick-fil-A and anything else?
You just gotta love Chick-fil-A. That's all I'm gonna say about it.
And so 3 months ago, maybe 3.5 now, I walked away from a 20-year career at IBM to go do this with my life.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go! Welcome to Chick-fil-A Cicero, y'all. Oh, yeah!